When the emergency teams arrived on the Mediterranean island of Malta in July 2016, the heat was overwhelming. The sun blazed in the sky, and the beaches were packed with tourists trying to cool off in the sea. But for the police, it wasn't a vacation day. They had just recovered a body, and at first, the circumstances surrounding the death of that German teenager seemed fairly clear. Yet only days later, when forensic doctors in Germany received the body, almost intact, they were horrified. The corpse weighed barely 16 kilograms. Every single organ, even the heart and brain, was missing. Whatever this case was, one thing was certain: it was far from clear. This is the tragic and deeply mysterious story of Mike Mansholt. Mike was born on August 20th, 1998, in Oldenburg, Germany. He grew up with his sister Marie and his parents. He was especially close to his father, Bernd, a passionate goldsmith and sailor who had instilled in him a love for travel and adventure from an early age. By the time Mike was 5, he had already seen much of the world with his dad. Over the years, that love for exploration only grew stronger. He was an active boy who loved skating, climbing, hiking, diving, and most of all, mountain biking. He was also very bright. He graduated top of his class and began professional training with Airbus in Bremen. Everything was going well. He had a girlfriend, friends, a close family, and a promising future ahead. In July 2016, Mike decided to travel abroad for the first time without his parents. His girlfriend was taking a language course in Malta, and he wanted to visit her and explore the island on his own. For several days, they enjoyed their time together, but on July 17th, his girlfriend flew back to Germany. Mike decided to stay for 5 more days to tour Malta alone. He was fascinated by sports and nature, and there was one place he didn't want to miss: the Dingley Cliffs, the highest point on the island. On July 18th, Mike rented a mountain bike. Before leaving, he sent a final voice message to his girlfriend. He sounded happy and full of energy. "Okay, I'm going to rent a bike and ride across Malta. The streets are really steep, some only walkable, but that's fine. It's a sports challenge and I love that." That would be the last time anyone ever heard his voice. That evening, his family and girlfriend waited for news, but no messages came. At first, they assumed he might have lost his phone or run out of battery. He was almost 18. Maybe he'd just gone offline for a while. But when the days passed and his seat on the return flight remained empty on July 22nd, they knew something was terribly wrong. Mike never came home. His family contacted the police in despair. An intense search began across Malta, with media coverage, volunteers, and Mike's father himself joining the effort. The first place they searched was the Dingley Cliffs, since Mike had mentioned going there. But the terrain was treacherous. Dense bushes, caves, and rocky formations made it nearly impossible to comb thoroughly. Days went by with no trace. Finally, on July 26th, a full week after his disappearance, Mike's body was discovered about 30 meters below the top of the cliffs, lying on a rocky ledge hidden under an overhang. His bicycle was found a few meters above, tangled in bushes. His sunglasses and shoes were scattered nearby. To Maltese investigators, the explanation seemed straightforward: an accident. They claimed Mike had strayed from the path and fallen. They even stated that his back had been broken in 2 places, clear proof, they said, of a fatal fall. But that version quickly began to crumble. First, the body's position was odd. It rested beneath an overhang, a place it would have been nearly impossible to reach in a free fall. His bike, too, was almost undamaged, save for one flat tire. A 30-meter fall. And that's all? It didn't add up. When the body was transported to Germany, the forensic doctors were stunned. The corpse weighed only 16 kilograms. All internal organs, the heart, lungs, liver, pancreas, kidneys, bladder, stomach, intestines, and even the brain were missing. Maltese doctors claimed animals had eaten them and that the brain had melted from the heat. But German experts didn't believe that. There were no bite marks anywhere, and while the brain does degrade over time, it never completely disappears. Even stranger, there were no fractures, not even in the spine, contrary to the Maltese report. In other words, there was no proof of a fall, no external wounds, no signs of violence. So, what really happened to Mike Mansholt? His backpack, containing €600, his phone, and his GoPro camera, was never found, even though hotel records confirmed he had taken them. Still, the Maltese authorities refused to continue investigating. For them, the case was closed, an accident. In Germany, prosecutors opened a homicide inquiry, but quickly hit a wall. When they requested the original Maltese case file, they discovered crucial evidence missing. Photos of the body, the discovery site, and other scene details simply weren't there. The official report was barely 1 page long, concluding only, "Cause of death undetermined." Frustrated, Mike's father, Bernd, offered a €10,000 reward for any information that could solve the mystery. Over time, several theories began to circulate. Some believed Mike had been a victim of organ trafficking. But that theory falls apart quickly. Transplantable organs must be removed under sterile conditions and while still oxygenated. Impossible under the island's heat and without medical equipment. And many of the missing organs wouldn't even be usable for transplant. Others suggested a hit-and-run accident, that perhaps a driver had struck Mike and sent him tumbling off the cliff. Yet again, there were no broken bones, no trauma consistent with that. And his location under the overhang made that version implausible. Some even mentioned suicide, but his family and friends completely reject that idea. He was happy, full of plans, and there were no warning signs at all. His father proposed a more realistic scenario. That day, Malta was experiencing a severe heat wave. Mike, exhausted, might have set down his bike and shoes to rest or cool off. Perhaps he tried climbing towards shade, but dehydrated and overcome by heat, he collapsed. Seeking shelter, he may have crawled under the rock ledge and passed out, dying there alone. Later, someone could have stolen his belongings. When Bernd visited the site, he noticed freshly cut grass and harvested onions nearby, evidence someone had recently worked the land. He even spoke with a local farmer who, according to him, acted very strangely. But the police dismissed his concerns. As for the missing organs, Bernd believes they were removed during the Maltese autopsy without family consent, and that doctors later lied, claiming animals ate them to cover up their negligence. The body was already decomposing, making transplantation impossible, but they might have taken the organs for examination. Since such removals are illegal in Malta without permission, they allegedly tried to hide it. A heat stroke, in fact, leaves no visible marks on a body, which would explain why the cause of death remained undetermined. That theory seems to fit almost everything. Almost. Because years later, thanks to Bernd's relentless persistence, Malta's Ministry of Justice ordered the case to be reopened. A new witness had come forward with crucial information. Details were never made public, but Bernd stated he's now convinced that his son wasn't alone the day he died. He believes at least one other person was with him on those cliffs. That new revelation could change everything. For now, the case remains open, and the truth behind the mysterious death of Mike Mansholt continues to haunt both Germany and Malta.